got the post cut on the other side. Now what we're going to do is just go ahead and lift the roof of the car up, move it over the patient towards the front, and this will give us all the room that we need to get in there and take care of the patient.
Yeah, so Rob, that opens it up significantly. You can get in there and do whatever you need now.
We can do whatever we need to at this point. Whether we've got to make patient access to the front or back, bring somebody out that's seriously injured, this has created more, and we've turned it into a convertible.
Yeah, very nice.
The hard way. What we showed you today, Joseph, was just some basic stuff. If the car was over a cliff or in a more precarious position or upside down, there's a lot more advanced techniques that we can do. This was just a basic thing to show you how we cut cars up.
Well, I really do appreciate you, taking the time to show us. It's really interesting to see the car cut up and kind of destroyed. But I got to get back to headquarters. And
hey, before you go, we can show you some of those more advanced techniques real quick.
You guys can't cut my car. Back to you, Norm.
Thanks, Joseph. As you can see from that demonstration, when cars get crunched, space gets tight pretty quickly. And oftentimes there's not a whole lot of room to work with. Well, that's actually a pretty good segue to our closer look here at Station 18. Built in the latter half of 1969, the station actually opened for business in January of 1970. It was then one of two stations serving what was known as the Ackworth Fire District. Back then, subdivisions were few and far between, and the idea of building a station to kind of blend into the community, I don't think that really crossed anyone's mind. Design was purpose-built and utilitarian. And for the purpose of a fire station, an industrial design was just the ticket. When we come back, we'll take a look at a different side of Station 18. One of the beauties of the diversity of Cobb County's geography is that you can go from the more urban-like settings of, say, southern and eastern Cobb to a more rural setting here up in the north. Contrary to our situation down in Vinings where they actually had the patio on the rooftop, here there's actually some room to roam. And though growth has been constant here, we actually still have some elbow room. Well, as you can see behind me here, temperatures are dropping, the leaves are falling, and it's that time of year for some yard cleanup. And oftentimes we use open burning as a way of getting rid of some of this yard refuse. Right now, let's visit with Chief Heaton as he talks more about open burning.
It's that time of year when we start rolling up our sleeves and working in our yard and cleaning up around our house, and a lot of that involves open flame burning. There's an old adage in the fire department when asked how did a fire start, and firefighters may say, it started with a flame about this big. And that's true. It may be a wise guy answer, but it is true. Majority of our fires do start at that. This time of year, our yards are full of debris and leaves are falling, and we want to make it look neat and clean. And when we clean up, we want to burn. A lot of rules and regulations go with burning outdoors, and you need to know those rules, and they are on our website at cobbfire.org. Some of the very basic rules you need to remember is there needs to be a water hose standing by in case the fire begins to spread. Also, the fire needs to be attended to by an adult at all times. Another thing we think about when we're looking around our neighborhood is smoke. When you begin to burn, smoke begins to spread around. We want to be friends to our neighbors, so make sure you're aware of where the smoke's going and that you work with your neighbors so that you don't irritate them in problems they may have. Another thing that we do outside, I mentioned, is recreational fire, where we may camp out or cook out with an open flame fire. That's great, it's great family fun, but there are rules that go with that also. And again, those can be found at our website. When we start talking about the chimeneas and fire bowls and grilling, a lot of that's done on the decks and patios of our homes. So let's go look at our home and see what we can find there. So here we are on our deck. And this time of year is especially a good time where we have chimeneas and fire bowls that add to the entertainment on the decks here. And of course we have our grill, which is used year-round, but is also considered an open flame. Thing we have to remember with open flames, and especially on our deck areas, is that when you're burning wood and wood products, they may snap and crackle and throw embers outside of the fireplace or the fire area. This can cause a hazard, particularly in the area around your fire, and also as embers fly into the air, they could also land in the gutters where the leaves are gathered, as well as valleys where the leaves are gathered. So I would recommend never leaving a fire outside on your deck unattended. We'd also talked about some of the open flames that we do inside the house. Let's go inside and look at some of those. And now that we're inside, there's a couple of places we have open flame burning. First is our fireplace. Many homes have fireplaces very similar to this one. And the first thing you must remember about this is always make sure your flue is open before you have a fire inside the fireplace. Another thing is to be sure that you have your fireplace inspected annually to make sure it is safe to burn in. While we're here at our fireplace, we'll also talk about open flame also has a chance to have embers pop out and move into the area around your fireplace. So be sure not to store things such as newspapers, magazines, things that may catch on fire if embers do pop outside. Along with that, all fireplaces should have a screen to protect the area so things cannot get outside of the fireplace. One last thing I want to talk about on the fireplaces we see many fires is when people clean out the fireplaces and the ashes may stay warm or can burn for several hours, maybe even days. Never use a cardboard box, a cooler, or any combustible type of material to take your ashes outside of your home. Once outside of the home, they should not be put on a deck or porch because often it can cause fires on your deck. They should be taken outside, spread over an area, and hosed down to ensure that the embers are cooled and pose no harm to you. While we're here also, candles, open flame, inside your home, beautiful, beautiful, smell great. They really set the mood, if you will. And while we're talking about that, the 5 most popular times that candles cause fires in the home is Halloween, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, New Year's Eve, and New Year's Day. So be careful with candles. Open flame inside your homes are very dangerous. One thing you want to do is be sure and keep them out of reach of children. A child should not be able to reach a candle that is burning. Also, never leave the candles unattended. If you are going to leave the room, you should blow the candles out to ensure the safety. Along with that, we're going to talk about candles in the bedroom. Many people like to use that for the ambiance, for the aroma, but it's very, very dangerous. As a matter of fact, 38% of the house fires started with candles start in the bedroom. Unfortunately, 41% of those end up in fatalities. So candles in the bedroom, although very pretty, we do not recommend. Candles should be kept 12 inches away from combustible materials. When setting candles around tables, around window sills, be extremely cautious that the wind will not blow the curtains in the area. I've said we shouldn't have candles in the bedroom. Bedspreads, pillows, things can move and get into the candle's burn area. That's what you really need to be careful with. If you have candles in window sills near plants, make sure that they're 12 inches away. Make sure that it doesn't dry the foliage and catch the plant on fire, which can cause further fires. We talked about a lot of different things today about open flames in and around your home. And the biggest thing I want you to remember is just be fire safe. Think safety all the time. And remember, don't be the person that when the investigator comes to your house, you say it started with a little flame about this high.
Oh, hey, thanks, Chief. Just thought I'd get my daily dose of exercise in. We've already discussed the fact that this station was built on a smaller scale. Basically, it was built back in 1969. Historically, because of that, it has always been a single company. Layman's terms means only one fire engine here, which required less personnel. Crew, maybe 3 or 4 people. Again, being the fact that it was built back 40 years ago, requirements for space were a little less then too. For example, let's take the kitchen. All right, based on today's building standards, a little tiny. And obviously not the kind of facility I want to have to make a meal for, say, a large crew of hungry firefighters. However, with, say, a crew of only 3 or 4, well, it'll do. Now, let's get back to business. So generally, how does a fire begin? Well, as Chief Heaton said, it's usually a little bitty flame about this big. And technically, that's correct. The bigger question, though, is how did that little bitty flame get out of control in the first place? Oh, wait a second. Well, I suppose that's one way. Anyway, that's where our fire investigations unit comes in. They're sort of our fire detectives. Right now, let's visit with Chief Investigator Rodney Sanders.